All right, so what I wanted to talk about this morning was activity, and I'm going to really highlight this very, very simply. If we're swimming, we need to paddle or we drown, we go under. And I liken it to business and sales, that if we just stop our activity, I'm going to show you some reporting figures, and I'm not singling anyone out or anything out by doing this. I just want to highlight a few things versus appointments and sales. And it's not always the case, but generally across the course of time. Let's have a look. So if we look at yesterday, for example, and you guys have all got access to this, by the way. So you just need to go down the left-hand side into reporting, and then you go put the date in and make sure you click the outgoing, and you can see the level of activity that's actually been done. Now, like I say, it's not always true to form because it depends on the presentation, depends on the area, the data, the day. There's lots of little variables. But the one thing we know is that activity is key. There's always the odd one like TWE that has changed that somewhat, because she did 16 dials. If you go by the stats yesterday, she got one appointment, she did 16 dials. So this is where the variables can come in. So she's not on this morning, so it'd be good to find out how many people did she speak to. It's one thing doing the dials, but it's how many. Now it's 16. That's good going, right? I think we can all agree that that's not a lot of dials. And then we look at Solomon's work rate for the day, 52. It's a different set of data now. 52 calls, 4 appointments. So well done to Solomon on his efforts yesterday. But that's so it depends how many people are picking up. Activity is absolutely key in this business. So no matter whether you're having a good day or a bad day, the only thing that gets you through that is keep dialing, is keep that activity up, and the appointments will come. So the work that TWE did may have come from the work she did the day before, and when you've got to kind of look at things as not only, if we look at the stats, so not only as a day, but potentially a week, right? So have a look at your own stats is really my point this morning. Below the stats, you've also got your own appointments and your own calls that are listed there, and you can listen to the calls back. You can even, you've all got a dedicated number, so you can, I'm not sure how much of this you can see, but you can pick your name on there and have a look and have a listen to the dials and have a listen to the calls. Make sure you're sticking to the pitch. Basically what we did yesterday, are you doing that? Do you have a hook? Are you getting to the presentation? Are you asking for the order? Are you doing all these things that you need to be doing, on every call? Are you getting that out, or are you getting stopped somewhere? So you can do a little bit of self-analysis to help you do that. But anyone in sales is going to be looking at their figures and their stats. They're going to be looking, saying, okay, well, if I do 50 dials and I can get 4 appointments, then I can do 100 dials and I can get 8 appointments, right? So it is down to the activity and working your numbers, sticking to a process, sticking to a strategy and executing, and not changing that strategy. You stick with it and you push through the tough hours to get to the good hours. Because quite often you might have a bad hour, you might have a bad couple of hours, but you won't have a bad day, or you won't have a bad 2 or 3 days. And what I used to do is very much put my head down. You see, TWE made, if we go back, TWE made a lot more calls the day before, or double the amount of calls. It's still not a great deal. I'd still say you need to be between 60 and 120, 140 dials in a day to really be active. But the appointments where she's got to, She didn't get an appointment the day before, but she got one today. So collectively in those 2 days, she did 53 calls for one appointment. You could argue that. So if you do 100 calls, you should be on for 2 appointments. That's why I'm looking at the numbers. So you might do 35, 40 calls one day, and then you might do 15 calls the next day, and you might think, oh, hey, 15 calls, one appointment, happy days, right? I only have to make 15 calls. I spoke to 5 people. I'm doing 1 in 5. Well, you're not really. You're doing 1 in 50. You probably spoke to 10, 20 people to get that one appointment. Get your activity up is the point. Stick to the strategy, stick to the calls, and then it becomes cookie cutter. What I was saying is that what I would do is not think for the week, right? I would say to myself, because it's all psychological. I talk to you about this all the time. Sales is psychological. And it's not the psychology of the customer. We already know they're going to have buying defenses. We already know they want like local. We already know they like the jonesing effect where someone else has done it first before them. We all know they respond to urgency and fear of missing out because we do, right? So we already know that. That doesn't change. But what changes is our attitude towards making calls and picking up the phone and our workday. So what you need to do is you need to look at your numbers. You need to listen to your calls. You need to make sure you're on track. Not changing your pitch every day or every time you call. You got to work the system. Make sure everything's in place. Make sure you got your data in place. Make sure you know where to find it. Make sure you've got your maps open. Make sure you've got your systems working for you. And then stop thinking. Right? Think about each call and think about what are they saying? How can I get around that? What questions can I ask? How can I lead them now towards the presentation? From the presentation, how do I close them and do that call to action? How does that sound? Would you like to do that? Should we get started? I've got a couple of appointments. All the things. Review that video from yesterday. I think that was really key to a lot of people functioning the way they did yesterday afternoon as well. But make sure that you stop thinking and you resign yourself that you're doing the next 5 hours, 6 hours. You're going to have breaks and coffees and things like that. You can even time them, but you're going to be disciplined. You're going to follow it. You're going to pick up the phone. You're going to call. And Friday afternoon, you'll pick your head up and you can switch your brain on and start thinking again and look back and go, well, how did that work for me? Right? And that is what I found to be a really successful strategy because I wasn't reacting every hour, right? It didn't bother me. I just continued. I knew what I needed to do. I knew it worked because I've already done it. All you guys have already made appointments. You already know it works. You can already do it. You just need to do more of it. And you need to stop thinking in between times. Stop getting distracted. Stop thinking about your personal life, your problems. Stop looking at your phone. Stop looking at social media. Close down Seek. Stop looking for new jobs, right? All this stuff is a distraction and it's weakening you when you actually execute your job. This is your job. This is your business, right? And it's a pretty simple business. We just help people find out about solar. We know what all that is. We've just now got to call enough people and get through to the right people to be able to get the right result. Excuse me. But if we think in between that, we're going to bring in negativity. We're going to bring in that self-defensiveness, if I can describe it like that, where those little voices pop in our head going, oh, yeah, maybe I should do something else, or maybe, oh, it's just really hard. Maybe everyone's got solar and they don't need it. And all this these voices are coming to your head. This doubt is just your subconscious defending, looking after you. But actually it's not doing you any good, right? Because anything you do, it doesn't matter with this or another job, you still need to put yourself into it. You need to step off the cliff. You need to take the risk. You need to push yourself. You need to be disciplined. You need to be dedicated. You need to buy into it 100%. And you need to execute, and then you need to give it the time and look up at the end of the week. And you'll look up at the end of the week and you've got 10 or 15 appointments. You'll look up at the end of the day, very briefly, right? But you'll see all of a sudden 1 or 2 appointments that changes your life, right? You can have 0 today. You can have 0 for the first 2 hours. And you get 1 and all of a sudden it's changed. So you are 1 appointment away from feeling happy. You are 2 appointments away from feeling ecstatic. Right? And 3, oh my God, but it's all possible. Don't limit yourself. Go for 5. If you fall short, you still get 2 or 3, right? So aim for 5 today and fall short. But don't aim for 1 today, because if you fall short, it's 0. So aim for 2. You fall short, you get 1, right? It's called the 10X. You've heard it probably all over. I think it's an old Grant Cardone method, right? Is sticking to processes and 10X everything, right? If you're going to be thinking, you might as well be thinking 10X. Because if you fall short, well, at least it's a pretty good day, right? You 5X'd it, right? Or you 3X'd it, or whatever it is, right? It's quite an Americanism. I'm not really into those, but you know what I mean. So set yourself a decent goal. So even if you fall short, right, at least it's still a win and it's a good day for you. But stick to the process, look at your stats, look at your numbers, your activity. If you're going to be successful in anything, your activity has to be up. I probably work 10 hours a day. Sometimes I work 12 hours a day. When I'm not working directly during working hours on creating appointments or bringing in new campaigns, I'm building things. I'm looking at better ways to do things. I'm educating myself. I'm listening to podcasts, right? I'm immersing myself in the process so I can be successful at this, right? And I wasn't born in the energy business, right? I'm not trained in the energy business. I just thought it's a good idea. It seems to be something people want. They're getting the wrong information. We can put them on the right track. And in the process, we can set some appointments up for some of the solar companies who will pay very nicely to do that. But there is a process, right? Nothing's easy, right? It doesn't matter if you leave this and you go and sell real estate, or you leave this and you go and open a Subway franchise, right? Everything has shitty things. Everything has really good things, right? So just buy into it. Get on track, get your numbers up, look at your numbers every day, listen to your recordings, get better. But try not to do your training through your working hours, because your working hours are for working. Do your training out of that when you can't call anyone. But while you can call anyone, make hay while the sun shines. Stop thinking, switch on the strategy, just work it, keep it going, right? Talk to everyone. If you're working Brisbane or Melbourne or Adelaide, have a goal to talk to everyone. I just want to talk to every business that's in manufacturing production. I just want to have a chat with them because I know they're on the wrong track and I can put them on the right track, right? So I just wanted to mention that this morning, so hopefully that's helpful. I'll pop the recording up there. I'll stop in a second so we can ask some questions as well.